Hi, welcome to Patricia Makes Stuff. Today we're going to do combo top socks. So by that I mean we're going to take two of the simple sock tops that we did in our last video and we're going to combine them. So in this case I did a mock rib at the top and a folded hem following the mock rib, and I will give you a closer up also. This is a roll top sock, and this is sort of, I'm going to try doing it differently in a demonstration. So we're actually going to do two of these. But this one is actually one roll top, which is the very first layer. This is actually a very narrow rolled hem, like 10 rows. And then this was actually my waist yarn, which rolled up nicely. So I think I'm going to try and do 3 layers like that, but I'm going to do it so that they're all with the purl side showing. If you do a mock bump like this one, it's going to have the knit side showing, and the top will be the purl side, this would be the knit side. And if this were another bump like the second one, then also the knit side would be showing. But I would kind of like the purl sides to show. So we're going to go from a pattern, or yeah, I guess it's called a pattern, out of the book by Kathy Roletter, the CSM Selvages. We're going to do what she calls the stacked roll tops. I'm going to demonstrate that, and that is from her book, CSM Selvages, Kathy Roletter. I'll put a link in the description for where you can buy that book. It's a great book if you don't have it. So that's another one we're going to do. This one is a rolled hem at the top, a roll top, a little easier to see that way, and a Picot edge. Now on this sample, I think the roll top on here could be a little bit longer so that it's stuck up a little more. So I think on our sample that we make, I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I'm also going to demonstrate the rolled, 3 rolled bumps. That is the faux one. And this one was demonstrated by Jamie Mayfield. Hi Jamie, if you're out there. And it is a roll top at the top and then 2 very narrow folded hems, and we're going to call that the faux roll top. The pattern for that is available on Jamie's website, CSM Supplies, for free. So let's get started. Okay, we are at my True Knit sock machine, which I love, and I want to tell you that I have cast on with my cast on bonnet, and I have put some waist yarn, and then I did 1 row of ravel cord, and now I am wrapping my project yarn on after the ravel cord. Now I have found in this case that it works best to do the ravel or the project yarn when you add it in, to do it clockwise around, and to do it so that the yarn itself is on the inside. It will be on the inside of your sock, and the reason that is because when you knit this, it will be much easier. Now we're not going to pick up this edge, but in future ones it'll be much easier to pick up if that ridge is not in our way. Which, if you don't get what I'm saying, it'll be clear as we go, I think. Perhaps. Okay, so we're going to E-wrap this layer, and then we're going to crank, after I put the needles down, and we're going to start putting the needles down over here, which means this project yarn needs to, oh yeah, we're gonna have to go around twice, sorry, never mind, we'll go around we'll add in our yarn, and then we'll put the needles down and thread the yarn carrier. There's no way to start the project yarn. This is my project yarn I'm putting on. There's no way to start the project yarn in the yarn carrier when I'm still E-wrapping. So you have to E-wrap all of them and go around again. I hope that makes sense. Try not to get your loops too tight as you're going around the cylinder because it makes it hard to crank. Remember, there's weight on the bonnet, but there's no weight on this row of knitting, so it tends to ride up on the needle a little bit, and if it's super tight, it's going to ride up even more. So today is a very snowy, cold day in Michigan. We're getting very cold weather. It's a whopping 18 or 16 degrees last time I checked, but it's going to get down below 0 tonight. Now I'm ready to load up my yarn carrier, so I'm going to start putting these down, cranking around so I can get them down. I got some blue yarn hanging here that's actually for the next layer, and we're going to push them down, checking and double checking and triple checking to make sure that those latches are open. Cranking around. And as I get around, we're going to get to that needle. And we're going to add this into the yarn carrier. And I am going to engage the heel spring. Pushing that down, so you really want to get some slack on that yarn coming around. Alright, it'll all work out. And we're going to push these down, checking the latches. When you push them down, try not to, if you push them down as far as they will go, it will pop that latch up. So you want to push them down into work, but you don't want to close the latch. Now you can see how this rides up, and sometimes you got to put a little pressure, downward pressure on those stitches, and we're going to continue to push these down. Checking the latches. I got them all. Whoop, there's one, there's one. Alright, this one keeps popping up. So when that happens, here's another one. I'm going to pull those up a little, pull those needles up a little bit. Okay, and then we're just going to take this first row nice and slow. Even though I consciously tried not to get this row too tight, you can see it's still cranking. That's pretty tight. Now I'm going to take my yarn tail. I'm going to trim it just a little bit. It doesn't have to be that long. And I'm going to feed it back in to my yarn carrier so that I don't have to knit it in or finish that with a needle. Okay, so I forgot to start my row counter, but that's not a problem. I'll get my handy dandy magnet. One, and we actually are starting row 2. And we are going to crank a total of 15 rows. And then we're going to change color. This is simply because it's where I added in the ravel cord. It's the beginning of my sock area. Sometimes I take that and clip it. I had a little clip, but I can't find it. There, we'll clip it with that. Alright, and we're off. We're going for 15 rows. Okay, so we're going to stop at D. We're going to leave a tail of about 6 inches. And we are going to add in some waste yarn. Sorry about that, I hit the camera. Okay, adding in some waste yarn. And we're going to crank about 10 rows. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The number's not hugely important. And now we're going to start raising all of the needles into non-working position. And we have to crank around as we do that. So I'm going to cut that waste yarn, drop it in the middle. Make sure that it is going through the last 2 needles there. And we're going to drop it in. So really what we're doing is we are repeating the same thing we did last time. So we're going to, now that all the needles are up, we're going to start E-wrapping my second color here. Maybe if I can get it threaded. There we go. Use a nice blue color. Oops, sorry. Okay, we're going to start E-wrapping, and once again I'm going to go clockwise starting at D. I'm going to go clockwise around the needle so that that's on the inside. Oops. And we're going to move that cylinder or that yarn carrier around as we go so we can get back. And so I'm going to go ahead and E-wrap all these needles, and then I will be back. Okay, I have E-wrapped all of my needles. I am putting the needles down. They were out of working position or in hold position so that I could E-wrap this this layer of our sock, and I'm going to load my yarn into my yarn carrier. The heel spring is already on, and lower these as I go. Whoops, I lost my twist right here. So let's fix that. We now have no loop on there. Let's see if I can get that back. There's one. There we go. Alright, so you want to make sure that this yarn doesn't ride up on the needle too far, and also that you have your latches open. I kind of judge by, as I'm going around, if I can fit my finger in under that needle so those latches have space to hang down, they tend not to pop back up when I'm not looking. They can be sneaky little guys. So let's, as a measure of precaution, kind of stick your finger between the hook here and the cylinder. If I can fit my finger there, and the latch is open, it will probably stay open as I knit around. Rather than if it's down like this, and see how this is, this one is closed, that yarn is pushing that needle close. I can see on the monitor that you can't really see that very well. Latch is open. Alright, so we're going to start here. As this works its way up, I just take my finger and keep pushing it down just on this first row. It also reminds me as I'm going to check those latches. Now I'm going to vary this. This isn't exactly the numbers that are in the book, but I am going to vary it just a little bit. So we're going to do, let's do 12 rows. Okay, almost there. Oop, look at that one, sneaky little devil. All right, there we go. Coming around, almost got it. I very cleverly put a ravel cord between my waste yarn and my project yarn at the first layer, and I should have put another ravel cord here where the waste yarn is connecting that layer, but I forgot. So we'll see what that does for us. That is my third row, and I'm going to reset my row counter. 1, 2, 3, and we're going for 12. So we have cranked our 12 rows, and this time we're going to stop our yarn carrier at C, and we are going to take some weight off our project, and we are going to hang the last row of the first layer onto the needles. Now when I first read this, it didn't make sense to me, but I get it now that I can see it, and I think you will too. This is how we get that purl side showing. So my last, that is the first one, and we're going to go around the cylinder grabbing that stitch. Now if I'd have been paying attention and not my normal distracted self, I would have remembered to do the ravel cord, but it's okay. We will get this waste yarn off, no problem. That is principally why I do not use ravel cord, because I forget to put it in. Tell me in the comments if that is you as well. I just forget. It's great stuff. My ravel cord is braided fish line. It's not cheap to buy a roll of it, but I use it over and over and over and over. So I've had one roll for a long, long time. And I still haven't taken all the braided cord off the roll. So it was worth it. Of course, it might get used up and lost more quickly if I was to remember to put it in. But I don't. Yeah, too much to remember. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hang this all the way around. So we are hanging, if you think about what we're doing here, this is my E-wrapped edge. Right here. This is waste yarn between the first rolled hem and my second rolled hem. When I take this, now I'm hooking the bottom of this rolled hem into my stitches. So it's going to be securely on here. And we have one row of waste yarn showing, which is going to be pulled out. So this little red edge here won't be there. This is the top of my second rolled edge. Now, it is faster to do the faux rolled hem, which I'm going to demonstrate next. But this one, I really like the purl side showing. You know, they're socks. And honestly, unless you run into another sock knitter, probably not that many people would notice if it's the purl side or the knit side showing. So, yay for the faux rolled hem, because it kind of looks the same. But it's fun to do different things. So that's what we're going to do. And again, the complete written pattern for this is in Kathy Roletter's book. I have really enjoyed this book. I've done a few things out of the book, and this one was a revelation to me. It was one of those, oh yeah, that's how you do that. But it took me a little head scratching to figure it out. So we've modified it ever so slightly in this demonstration, and I will put the link to Kathy's book in the description. Please support her and buy this book. It's a wonderful resource for sock knitters. Okay, we have so many talented people in the sock knitting community who are doing fabulous things. I took I'm going to get her last name wrong. I took a workshop with Annetta, and I can't remember her last name, and it begins with an E, and she did the Crowns book, which I always want to call Casting Crowns. Oh, sorry, Annette, I'm not doing you any favors here. But that is another excellent resource. That was a real head scratcher, but I finally figured it out, and she was very generous with her time. It was a lot of fun. We did an online knit along. If you get a chance to do one of those with her, I would highly recommend it. And I will put the name of her book in my description as well, even though we're not doing that book. Okay, starting on the next row there. After we hang this this edge, when we're done hanging it, we're gonna knit. I'm gonna knit 5 more rows to leave a little bit of space. So I'm going to finish hanging this edge, and then I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So I had to back up and I made a mistake, which was I forgot to add the waist yarn in after when we did the second roll top. I should have added waist yarn here, not started this white row. So this white row is going to get pulled out. That was a mistake. So after every last 5 stitches of this rolled top before it, we have to add waist yarn. So there's a learning curve for you. Well, we're back up here and going. So now that I have the proper waist yarn on there, I'm going to add in my next color, which I'm going to E-wrap. And all the way around the cylinder. My needles are in hold or in non-working position, however you want to look at that. And we're going to E-wrap our way around. And then as we get around to the other side, we'll, whoops, look at that. Okay, I'm going to back up. Oh my goodness, this is just fraught with frustration. But you know, some days are just like that. This is one of them. I have a lot of them lately. It's just the way of it. Look at that. Okay. Now, reminding myself not to get these too tight. Because when they're too tight, they don't like to come off the needles. E-wrapping loosely around the cylinder, moving this ahead as we go. So, be back in a minute. Okay, this is my third color, and we are going to do 12 rows. This is my second row. 12 rows. There's 12. Take the weights off. And now we're going to hang the blue layer up here on the white layer. And this other white layer that I have sticking out here, that will come off because that was a mistake. So we really want to just grab, starting right here, I want to grab that blue yarn. And we're going to hang that all the way around. Alright, we have it hung all the way around. We're going to continue around the cylinder 5 more times. And then we'll take this off on waste yarn. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do a few more. If I were going to go on with the sock at this point, then this would be the leg of my sock. So we'll do a few more as if we're doing the leg. And then we'll take it off the machine. Alright, so this is what this looks like coming off the machine. This is the top row that we started with. I took off my bonnet. So this would have been the bonnet part right here. This is where it was attached to the bonnet. I took that off. And so now this is the second row. Now it's not rolling right now because we still have the waste yarn. This is the waste yarn between every layer. Now our E-wrap is in this crease right here. So when we pull this waste yarn out, then that second layer will curl up. So let's just see if we can get that waste yarn started. Scissors. I forgot to do a ravel cord. So I want to cut just some of those bars, making sure that I'm only cutting the waste yarn. And I'm going to pull that out, but I'm going to also make a snip here on the other side. It doesn't matter where. It's just easier, and this waste yarn is really fuzzy, so it sticks to itself. Making sure I'm only cutting the waste yarn. I cut about 3 bars. And usually I aim for pulling the middle bar, the middle stitch. But even then it's a little bit hard. Well, we have one little end to weave in, which that's fine. So there's our first 2 rolls on our sock. And now this is our third one. And so we are going to again get this waste yarn out of here. Only cutting the waste yarn. And doing another one over here. Maybe we'll do a third one. Maybe that'll make it easier. Maybe not. There. Get this out of here. This is your waste yarn. Come out. right. So this would be as if we were to go on with our sock then. We have three rolls. Okay. So I think the next one I'm going to demonstrate is going to be the faux rolled 3 rolls. That'll be next. Okay, so I've cast on again, and I've put on some waste yarn, and I'm getting ready to put in my first bit of project yarn. And because we want this not to have a live stitch on it, we are going to E-wrap, just like we did on the very first example we did today together. We're going to E-wrap the project yarn onto the project. Now, this is my last needle. So, we bring the yarn carrier all the way around. Oh, noni. You have to start putting these down, Patricia. I'm telling you what. Okay. Hanging on to the end of your yarn because it's not really attached to anything, and it will just come off that stitch. There's no weight on it. I suppose you could put a clothespin. Pushing those down, make sure the latches are open. We will check this multiple times on our way around. Alright, I could use another hand right now, to tell you the truth. But, you know, I just wasn't born with 3 hands, which is probably a good thing. Alright, there we go. I am going to put the heel spring on right there. Okay, and continue to put my needles down, making sure the latches stay open. As I mentioned before, I want about a finger width between the top of that hook, or not the top of the hook, but where the hook is on the needle. I want to be able to fit my finger under there, and by doing that, I can feel, and I did have several closed latches, so you want to be sure and check, because it is so much easier to check for latches than it is to pick up stitches. Alright, so now, even though I have some in hold here, I'm going to start cranking around, pushing the stitches down if I need to. They seem to be going pretty good. Now I can start putting these down. We have to wait for that cam to get out of the way. We're almost there. One more open latch, closed latch. That's what I meant. Alright, how are we doing? It's good, it's good, it's good. When I get over here, I'm going to pause. Pausing. Going to load this yarn into the yarn carrier and weave the tail in. Alright, we have 1 drop stitch right here. And this is waste yarn, so that really doesn't matter. It's not exactly the right stitch, but I do need to grab it and knit that over my project yarn, because I don't want it to run. There we go. Okay. Alright, we're going to do 12 rows, and that is my 3rd row. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's do 12 rows. Oops, I did 14. I was distracted, but that's okay. So now I'm going to go over here and add in my next color, and I'm going to do that by making a faux Russian join right here. Put it in the loop. Put it back in the yarn carrier. Here we go. One row without the heel spring. Like that. And now I'm going to engage the heel spring, and we're going to knit 14 rows, so 13 on my row counter. And we're going to remove the weight, and we're going to hang a hem. Now this is where it's different than the other rolled example that we did, because this is going to have a knit side showing. And because I started in a wonky place, we got to follow that up there and figure out what needle that is, but it's that one. And we're going to pick this up all the way around. When I'm done picking up, I will be back. Okay, I've picked up all those loops, and we're going to close this layer with 5 rows. So that was 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5. And I am going to add in my project yarn that I will use for the sock. And we're going to do one more bump or faux roll. And then I will continue with this yarn because this would be what I would knit the sock out of. One, two, three, whoops, heel spring. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Take off my weight. Pick up my bump. It's going to be right here. Follow that stitch up. Oh, we're going to call it that one. And pick these up around, and then a few more rows to finish out this sample. And I will put on some waste yarn. So I'll pick these up and be back. This is where I would start my sock. So I'm just going to do a bunch for the sample. Okay, and I'm going to cut my yarn and add in some waste yarn. Leave a tail. So I could finish this if I wanted to by putting it back on the machine. Okay, waste yarn, and then we're going to start our next sample. This is the mock rib combo with the folded hem, and I am e-wrapping each needle. You can see that I have every other needle taken out of the machine. So unlike a Picot, we're going to take it completely out of the machine, and we're going to e-wrap the needles. We are all the way around. Bring our cylinder around. Start putting these needles down before that cam, before the cam engages the needle, starts lifting the needles. And we'll bring that around and load it. Make sure that your latches are open. Putting the needles down as we get close. Making sure the latches are open. All right, reset my row counter. We're gonna do 15 rows. We're going to add in the needles. Starting with this one. We gotta add in these needles. So we did we're gonna do 15 rows of mock rib as a cuff. We're gonna add in our other project, the contrasting project yarn. But first we're gonna add in the needles so that we start knitting the hung hem part, the top of the sock. Alright, we can still start, because it's a different yarn here, we can still start our project yarn. I just have to remember to there are a couple of ways to do this. If you add in your project yarn, the yarn for the rest of your sock, you can choose whether or not to pick up a loop here. And I think for this example, I'm not going to pick up a loop. We'll see what that's like. I know it will leave a hole, but I think it will be underneath the other part of this, the sock top. So I don't think it's going to matter. Let's see if I'm right. So we're just going to start knitting. All right, engage the heel spring. In a second, I want to make sure that I get some more needles in here. Whoops, wrong kind of needle. Here we go. I know that this will seem like a big kind of lacy loop here that we're leaving, but honestly it's going to be under the folded hem part. So let's see. Let's just see what it looks like. We always have options. And all that starts to feed. Alright, we're good. And we're going to do, let's do 10 rows. That's one. Ooh. That's one. We did 15 rows of mock rib. Then we did 14 rows of regular sock, and this is where I'm going to pick up stitches and hang it. And we're going to start with this one. Yeah, mixed results on not picking up a loop. I guess if I did it again, I would pick up the loop, but it's worth a try. You gotta be afraid not to, you can't be afraid to experiment. There's a lot of ways to do things, and the only way you discover them on your own is to try them, and that means sometimes you don't always have the outcome you think you're going to. But that's okay, because you learned something. Alright. This is looking a little messier than I like. Okay, we're there. Put some weight on here, and we'll crank a few more rows. Very good. Leave enough that I can put it back on the machine and finish it. Put it in some waste yarn and take her off, or start the next one. We got one more to go. Okay, I have E-wrapped my needles, and this is our final sock top combo for this video. This is going to be a a roll top with a hung hem edging with a picot in it. So I don't have clever names for these. I should. So this is just what we've been doing. We're going to E-wrap that top bit. It's going to roll. There we go. It'll be fine. Uh-oh. There's one over there I missed. Okay, how many rows is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 15. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're going to stop at D. We're going to do a faux Russian join. Put on my heel spring. And we are going to do, let's say 15 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Time to move the weight up. We are going to do the Picot. So that means we're going to take out every other needle and slide it over to its neighbor. We'll do every second one. So I did that one, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a little weight on it. Oops. Let's go in there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the row that is making the Picot. And we're going to do, that was my third row. Put my weights back on completely. Reset my row counter. 1, 2, 3. We do 15 again. And we'll take some weight off. And now we're going to hang this hem. Okay, I'm going to hang this around and then take it off on waist yarn. So I've got it hung, and I'm going to do some rows here to, as if I were continuing with the sock. And then we will put some waist yarn on and take it off the machine.